busy doing stuff. I came on for a couple reasons. I'm going to do a short live show tonight. Um, but to show you, yesterday I started doing this. You remember I had this on here, right? Well, the chuck for some reason didn't connect right in here. For some reason, I think some of the gears are all messed up. I'm gonna have to take it apart and clean it and see. But it kept coming off. I had one time towards the end there when I did cut the live feed short because it was came off. This thing came off, hit that, and then bounced off and hit me in the face. Well, it's a good thing I had my shield on because the shield protected me from breaking my nose again. Okay, now I broke my nose from something else, but in other words, always safety first. And I know this is an older one, but always wear your face shield, even if you're sanding. In fact, preferably, what you should have is a shield and a mask to keep a dust mask to keep from sucking up stuff. But this is what I was working on. Now, there's a couple of things. You notice I still had a hole in the bill, right? I think it's like a half an inch in there or something. Well, my bits would only go down so far. Um, the problem I have, and I'm short, maybe I don't know, an inch. I mean, half an inch. But this is what I want to turn this to turn into, and it seemed to be pretty good. It turned out pretty good. I got the top sanded down. I was working on this, but yeah, this is a crabapple tree, and there you go. I actually did the top right. Now, so it's still got bark on it because of the way it was, and it should finish out pretty good. It's got a red tint to it and a bunch of other colors. I have a whole bunch of stuff I did in um, crabapple tree and a crabapple wood, and it really turns out good. The only problem is you have to let it set for a while. So I don't know how long this has been laying around, but that turned out pretty good actually. It's a bigger box. Now the reason I didn't make this tight, I mean, it's tight, it's snug, but the reason I didn't make it is when you put a finish on it, it'll expand a little bit, you know. So and then you're back to sanding again. But and there was the way this was here. There was a bump here and a bump here. So I got to thinking, did I want to take that bark off? This is where I should keep an open mind because I started off wanting to take everything completely off, and as you can see, the way the branch was. There's no branch that's round, by the way, at least that I've found. And when you're doing an offset turning situation, this is what you come in with. So that cab, the outside part of the bark was around here, but because the center was offset and right here, you're going. It actually turned out. This stuff like this turns out better than just having a normal tree, branch. Oh, what we got out there? Hey, buddy, what's going on? Well, thank you, thank you. Well, now if I can only get people to go over to my train. If you haven't subscribed to my train one, do that for me, uh, Kilroy. I'm trying to get. I know I need 15 people, 50 people on there to open it up. But the other channel is Jeff's. I gotta remember Jeff's Train World. HO and Gauge. And I need people on. I think I have 16 people on there. I've been working on that for like almost a year, and I can't get enough people on there. I forgot about it for a while because nobody was watching it except for me. So anyway, and I thank you very much, sir, and I congratulate you on your stuff too because I watch it all the time. Even though I have no idea what you're doing. So anyway, this is a fun. Making boxes are fun. Normally, the boxes I make are a lot smaller. they're like this. They're not as big, but that was a fun project. Okay. Now, the lesson that I can tell you right now is that number one issue I had, well, two issues I had, right? One was dull drill bits. You see my drill bit, my forcer bit. Look at that. It's toast, right? I don't think you can even sharpen that. I don't know. And this one's the same way. These things weren't that cheap either. The big one, I think the 2-inch one was like $50. Now, normally what I do is I start out with something like this. That's that hole that's in there now. Or a little bit smaller, and then I build up. So normally I go like this, and then I go to this, and I go to this. Now the vase I did, the vase, I did 5 drill bits because it was so deep. I had a technique I do. Okay, so the technique I have on this, when you're drilling a drill bit in here like this, okay, so you run your, I'll have to show you. You chuck in there. There's something in my eye here. I'll show you. Yeah. Whatever. All right, so the chuck goes in there, right? Or the drill bit. Okay, so this drill bit goes in there like that, and then you tighten it up. See, I swear by this thing ever since. I don't need to take it and put it on the drill press. And that was a pain because I have to have a jig, and then you have to hold it with clamps and everything. But, okay, so we're doing this. And when you're going in like this, you can only go so much at a time. The idea is you run this all the way back and you put it all the way up against the side, and then when you're working, you go like this. It basically pushes that into that piece you're working on. Okay, so while this is turning, this is actually stationary and it goes through. It works out great, but the downfall is this thing. So if you're going to build something bigger than this, or you're going to build something that's smaller than this, you have to get the longest drill bit you can, or use this. Because what happens is, now like when I do really small vases with narrow necks, there's only so far I can get into it with one of these. If the last vase I did was 7 inches deep, 7.5 inches deep, and I had to do like 5 steps. Now I started out with a 1/8 of an inch bit, then this size bit, then a paddle bit that was 3/4 of an inch, then 1 inch, and then I went to the 2-inch. And when I got down to the 2-inch, because it was about the same shank, this length, the shank on this is the other one, so I think it's like 6 inches. I could only go so far. Okay, so then you got a hole in the middle here, and I did take pictures and I posted them. And the whole idea was, now I got it big enough to where this barely fits there, so that just far enough to here. Okay, then I stop, pull this out. Now this is when I start using the tools. That's when I use this, and I'll start gouging in the inside of this so far back. If I've got to go another 2-3 inches back, I'll gouge this out far enough to get this head in there. I've had this whole chuck in there, basically up to here. So it does work out, but there's a way to do it. Now, why am I doing it this way instead of the chuck? Well, with harder wood, it takes forever to get through here. And you're dulling your bits, and you got to change them. This wood's pretty hard, so by the time I would have to go halfway down, I'd have to change the teeth or sharpen change the carbide tips or sharpen the steel ones on the grinder. So I was looking at a video somebody was doing once. This is where I learned something from you guys. Okay, from you guys, all you guys that are woodworkers out there. I appreciate everything you guys do because if I don't know it, I kind of copy what everybody else does. So then I got an idea what the hell I'm doing, like I do anyway, right? So the only drawback is, okay, I've discovered when you're doing this, should only go in so far. Now I have an air hose over here, and I take the air hose as it's going in. I'll push a little on this thing just to push enough in there. If you see it starting to smoke, I have that turned on, my air purification, my jet air purification system. But I also take and put the air hose and blow it in that hole. It is when I have one hand's turning this in, the other hand's um, blowing air in that hole. And there's two reasons why I'm doing it. One is to keep this cool. It's kind of like you can't use water on it, right? Like you would tile. So I'm using the air from the compressor blowing on this to keep this as cool as I can. The other thing is all this sawdust that's inside, it actually keeps it blowing it out. It keeps blowing it out. So it's not stacking up on you, and that's when you start getting dull bits and burning the wood. But that's just my technique with doing it, and it seems to be working. So now I had it yesterday when I was showing you guys, and I got pissed off when this thing blew up like that way and came off and hit me in the face mask, because I'm like, okay, I've had enough. I had to relax a little bit because I had to back off a little bit. Plus, you never want to be, when you're in a point where you're frustrated, that's when things start happening. Back off, relax. So this morning I came down here and finished this enough, sand it, and I have to get a different drill bit, which I'm gonna have somebody buy for me. I'm kind of in a bubble because I had my surgery for my hip next week, so I can't go anywhere or see anybody until I get, and God knows when. I mean, after my surgery, that's a different story because there's everybody around here is sick except for myself and the boss. So, but anyway, that's just my technique. And I'll take it for what it's worth. Next time I do something, what I'll do is I'll do a better job of videoing it. And I just want to remind everybody too, if you can, my other hobby, my other gig, and it's woodworking too, because a lot of woodworking involved in this, believe me. Because I had to make a fire lookout for my trains. So if you can go to Jeff's Train World, HON and O Gauge and subscribe, that'd be great. I'm trying to get 50 people on there. I hate doing videos. I want to have live conversations with people who do the same thing I do and help me figure out my problems and stuff. And like I do with you guys. And I see I get a lot of response there. Thank you very much. Thank you, Kilroy. Much appreciated. Who else is on there? Like, you're the only guy on there. I have 43 people watching, by the way. That's pretty cool. That's awesome. Thank you, guys. You don't know how much that means to me. I'm not here for, praise. I love showing this stuff to people and teaching people. And I hope you guys do too. So the next project I'll be doing, and I'm trying to figure out, I brought some wood back with me, but okay, so this is coal wood right here. This is what I brought back from Hawaii. And I'm thinking, now the idea, this is to be a bowl. Of course, I got to cut the corners off. Somebody asked me why I cut the corners off. Well, for one reason, you turn it, but you chip. It's kind of like when I'm cutting a piece of wood on the radial arm. That's another thing. I love to give people tips on what not to do. If you ever cut a piece of wood on the radial arm, a lot of people tend to go down with the blade and keep their hands in the trigger and pull up. Or if they go down on the blade, let up on the trigger, but still pull up and the blade's still running. What I tend to do is go down on the blade when it's running, kill the trigger and let it stop and then pull it up. And there's a reason why. As a professional woodworker, the tip is if you're doing finished wood on like a cabinet or making, drawers or vanities, the second you lift that blade up, no matter what kind of blade it is, you take a chance on chipping the wood, especially veneer and plywood. So the idea is to go down, straight down first, let it turn off, and then pull it up. So that's kind of the same idea here. Is that what happens is if I try to turn it would chip this, and I'm not worried about that because the bowl's going to go this way probably. All right, so I'm going to have a bowl. My idea in my head is a bowl like this, and it comes up, and then it'll do a curly Q, go in a little bit, and then come out. And I think I can do it with this. And right about here is where I think it's going to come out like this. I'm going to go in a little bit, and then I'm going to come out again and make the lip. The lip should be even with the bottom part, but you'll have a groove in it. This depends on how it looks. I have to shape it first. Okay, now normally I get it cylindrical, but what I'm going to do with this one is once I chop that off, I might even do this, might use my 45 too, my compound miter, and do it at an angle like this. And so that I've already got kind of a curvature, and you can curve that bottom. So I'd probably work on that first and not worry about the top so much and just work into it. So I don't know. I mean, that's what I want to do. This is pretty heavy too. But see, I like the grain in it. So when you carve it up, because this is the way it is, I'm not worried about this, right? Because there's not much you could do about it. Now, I could do a corner here and a corner here and a corner here, just cut it and shape it like that so it's curved, and then just drill the middle, and then maybe bow the run. I've done it that way too. It's just Let's see what else. Oh yeah, I got one. I got box. Okay, here's another one. Now this is funny. All right, see, this has got staples in it, and I've actually turned one like this. So this is actually a spacer off a pallet. This guy I know, he was doing some work on his house. He says, he brought a whole box full of these things. And I've already made like two, I think. But this is actually a fun project. The same idea. I turned it into a little box. And you can, if you get really creative, you can make this and then get one on the top, get a piece of wood, like maybe glue two pieces of wood that are wider, and make like a lid, wider lid, so you can have a round piece, but then the lid can come out different, just a hair wider. And the idea with this, since this is like a darker color, even though it's brown, you could get like a hickory or something on the top and make it lighter color, or get something weird, like zebra wood or something. You got to be bizarre like me. It's just me. Okay, everybody that's seen my segment and stuff knows. So, yeah, thank you. But I was surprised I didn't see. I saw you on, I think it was Mark's. Was that Mark's show? He changed his name. It's all. I was laughing at him and that other guy talking. I can't even say that guy's name, but I was trying to figure out what the heck they were talking about. Anyway, the good news about this stuff, if you can't pull it, if you can't pull this stuff completely out, I mean, a lot of times you can't. Like these, I don't know if I can or not. Um, with a pair of needles, when you turn this, it doesn't tear into your. It won't tear into my metal because it's made out of like aluminum, So it's really cheesy. It's not very strong, should I say? It's just the only problem with these kind of staples, they have ridges in them. I've got my staple gun has the same type in there, and they're good for holding things together. They won't come apart. Usually you can't pull them out. It depends, unless it's pine. Sometimes you can, but that I might try that. Of course, I have to clear all this up. I know what kind of glue it is. Usually, I put this on the miter saw and kind of, So I might do this. Now, a lesson in if you ever want to learn. Okay, I'll move this stuff. If you ever want to learn how to do something, this is all pine. It's pallet wood. I use this I use this for a long time to train myself to do stuff. It's just scrap wood. You can find pallets everywhere. People usually say you can take them, no problem. I don't ever have to pay for them. I've got this deal with one of the malls in town where I pick these things up. I've made all kinds of stuff. I actually was building a tabletop here, and I started building it, and so the problem with this is I only want to see, this is the rough side, this is the bottom side. And what I'm doing is running through the thickness planer. Well, the problem with the thickness planer is my blades were getting dull, so they were kind of peeling this. But I got this to a point now where I could use this, glue the other side in. Now these knots, okay, I've got them saved. As far as the nail holes, I'm going to put, after I'm done, I'm actually going to put nails back in there and countersink them a little bit and beat it with a hammer a little bit, and then go over it with a real thick varnish to make it look, rustic. Make it look like one of Granny's tables from the Beverly Hillbillies. I was watching that show earlier. Man, it cracked me up. That truck was over at this museum in Illinois, at Volo Museum. It's north of me about an hour or so. And I'm laughing because when I saw that what was it, last year? My cousin who lives in Florida, she came up, she had some time, her and her husband. Me and Rich were like going, oh, check this out. Yeah, the Miami Vice car, the first Miami Vice car with Don Johnson and Richard Thomas. Whatever his name is. And Batmobiles, they had two different Batmobiles, original and the latest one. The kit car, and well, generally everybody knows that's my other hobby. So I got too many hobbies, but I don't do it now. It's always in the summertime. If I had a heated garage, I'd be out there. But anyway, my idea here is basically to get people to, it's simple. Just get a piece of wood and turn it and see what happens. You get a 2x4 and glue two pieces together. You can make a snowman. You can make a Christmas tree. You can even make a box out of it. Make legs. You can actually make legs for a table. See, you want to be cheap about something. You don't have to go out and buy this expensive wood. You get the pine, turn it. If you want to make a nice table, you can just do what I did, use pallet wood. I posted on here, by the way, and my other one on Facebook and Instagram. I made a outhouse out of pallets. Okay, what I did is I got one of the good sized pallets. I think it was like 48 inches, right? Okay, so all I had was some 2x4s that I had to have run off of some bigger, longer pallets. I needed four that were like 7 or 8 feet tall, right? I nailed them on as corners, right? Then what I did on 3 sides, I took pallet slats that are all beat up. I made sure there were still nails in them and all that. Made it look really cool, and I nailed them up all the way up to a certain point. All 3 sides. Then the front side, I did the top part to a certain point because I was making a door. I took the door and I made it. I freehanded everything, and it looks. I mean, all you see, it's kind of like the doors I have on this. Here, same way. They're the same exact thing. I didn't care about the twisty, turny stuff, and there's pictures of it there. My neighbor, she says, "Can you make one?" I said, "Of course." See, my best client, which is Mary Pat and Greg, they know who they are. They're probably watching. Thank you, God, and thank you for coming down yesterday, Greg. But appreciate it. Anyway, I've done a lot of stuff for her. Someday maybe she'll post it on here and show you. But I've put some pictures out there. It's not. I'll do it. I actually like making the outhouse. I think I spent like $20 on it. I got whatever it cost me for the hinges. I actually had the hinges. I had to pay 10 cents for the toilet seat from Reuse It. I cut the half moon in the door. Oh, that was fun. That was fun. I did that in my garage, and then I got somewhere's a video me pulling it down to my neighbor's house, like 4 doors down, 3 doors down. On the back of my tractor, my lawn tractor, my old one, and it was on the side. We were pulling it down, me and a couple other people, one of some of the other neighbors. We got it back, and she's to this day. It's still, I think I did that like 6, 7 years ago. It's still there. It's still there. It's awesome. Hey, Bob. Call Bob the builder. Yeah. Hi, Wade. Hi, Bob. Hi, Champagne. Hi, Ingersoll. Hey, that's some cool names out there, man. I should have called myself Dusty instead of Dutchman. Because there is another Dutchman out there. But anyway, yeah, that's kind of like, I never get rid of anything. Now, this slat here, it's all beat up, right? Well, here's what I'm doing. These walls, you see how the back part of that is? Okay, those doors and everything I made from pallet wood and barn wood. My ceilings are all made of pallet wood and barn wood, and a drop ceiling, But that wall back there, where that door is, that's the sump pump. That's where my compressor is. This whole thing right here, I have to put this up. This whole thing right here, I'm going to have, that's all going to be slats and barn wood. And I'm going to have right here some spots where I can hang some of my collected tools. And up in here, I've got a bunch of antique tools, old clamps, old hand planes and saws and whatnot. But I want to showcase stuff. So, yeah, and make a design. There was a guy's place I was at one time, long time ago. He took branches and just cut branches off. You've probably seen these. He put stuff that was supposed to be for the floor, like he was going to make a floor out of it. He put it on the wall. So then a couple of weeks ago, I was at a place in Hawaii. Hawaii's got some really awesome stuff. Some of the buildings have driftwood. And a place I was staying at that I was renting out has a couple of artifacts on a wall. They're all made out of broken branches. Well, this one place I went to, actual life-size tree up on the wall. I mean, it was huge. It was like this wide. It was like 1.5 feet, 2 feet wide, and it went up into the ceiling, and it was all made out of driftwood. That is awesome. Yeah, and I know exactly where to get the driftwood. Next summer, when I go out fishing on the Illinois River down in Seneca, I'm going to come back with a whole crap load in the back of my boat. And cheap wood. Well, even around here, when a tree goes down, I just have to defoliate it. I call it defoliate when they take all the branches, leaves off and stuff. But yeah, be creative. Be creative. I don't care, and I'll try anything once. I'm at that age. Well, I was born in the 50s. Okay, so I grew up at the 60s age. It feels good, do it, man. I lost that. I lost that surfing dude out of me. I used to, hey man, used to sound like Sean Penn. You know, in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Oh my God. That's going back a ways. Oh, yeah, my 50-year reunion, high school reunion is coming up this summer. Graduated 1975. 1975 from Tumbleweed Tech. Oh, well. Anyway, yeah, pallet wood you can really do a lot of good things with. I mean, last year at one point I did a challenge for people. Well, the other thing too is after the spring thaw, there's a lot of branches and stuff down. So last spring I had a challenge on making something out of twigs, out of your own branches. And I don't know if I have it. Oh, there's a cross that's up there I made. It's kind of sitting sideways. The bottom came off. All right. But I never finished this though. But yeah, you take old twig. You want to make a cross? There you go. Now, if you really want to get into it, I mean, I had my tie job isn't very good. I forgot my knots as a Boy Scout. You could actually glue this, and I had a staple gun. You could staple it. That's the brad gun, so it won't move. But these are kind of. But the base, I just drilled a hole in some scrap I had. What I originally was going to do is run this through the thickness planer and clean it up a little bit, and then router the edges. Yeah, this is red oak flooring. But I like making these things. These are pretty easy to make. These are easy to make. And I thought about, can I sell these things? You would normally glue this in here anyway. It was just a screw around thing. I got something else too. Hang on a second. Okay, I wanted to show you this real quick too, these two things, but here's the other one I made out of a crabapple tree. And I had used that same technique going in here, and so that I could get in here. So you just wound it, but it turned out really cool. I made this before, about a month ago, I think it was. It again. See, I like to leave bark on there. It's got about 6, 7 coats of wipe on poly in here. So back to the subject of twigs. Now this was a cool one for kids. I had my neighbor asked me, we should do one so that the kids can do some. Was SS whatever you call it, Twiggy is SS Twiggy. So, and it does float. I have a pond in the backyard. It'll float. I sealed it with some stuff. It's a little loose, but it's okay. I don't care. It was my tie chops aren't exactly the way I want to. I actually taught myself how to do this. When I used to climb trees to cut trees down with a Forest Service and stuff, I used to know all these knots and stuff. Yeah, be a nautical person. I'm like, nah, I forgot. I forgot. But see, this is just stuff out of my backyard. And then I had an old towel, an old. Now the thing I did wrong with this, instead of leaving cloth, I've got to take a little. I might make another one. what I did is I carved the bottom of this, and I carved this in here with a knife, and then I just glued that into there, and glued this into this. But this thing, I made it hard when I sprayed it, with a silicone sealer. It made it too hard. Didn't work. I mean, it does blow around. It's, it is, but it's just fun. It was a fun project. Didn't take all that much. It's like a Boy Scout project. I like showing kids how to do it. Now, this is a kid project. And I do bird houses and all that too. I always do it in the springtime. But yeah, when I get into something, I like doing it. But my biggest thing is having you guys watch me, even if I screw up. And I do it like I did yesterday. I kind of laugh at myself. I don't claim to be an expert in anything. Okay, so I'm the Jeff of all trades, the master of, you know, been there, done that. I enjoy it all. There's only one thing that I've done in my life that I can't stand. Well, two. One is, well, first job, believe it or not, I had was in a seamstress factory. I was pushing a broom with all these ladies putting down yarn or scraps or whatever it was from what they were making. I could I could not keep up with it. There was 20 of them, and the piles were like 2 feet tall. As soon as I wipe it out, the thing was almost like that. It was like growing on. It was fungus. It was terrible. First day I worked there was the only day I quit. But no, drywall was the other thing. I hate drywall. Oh, when I drywalled this and I drywalled the house, it was like I swore I wasn't gonna do it again. I got stuck doing basements with two other guys, and I like painting. I like the woodwork, but that was electrical work. That was no. It's a freaking messy. Don't ever use a vibrator sander either. That just makes it worse. I tried that one time. It's you start sanding like this. Next thing you know, it looks like a fog. You got this. I had that in here, and you couldn't see the door from here. It was so bad. Anyway, I call Bob the builder. Yeah, yeah. Night, Bob. You guys, I'm gonna go too. I'm gonna let you guys go. I've been on for a while, so, and I just wanted to show you that. Well, the other thing I'm doing right now is this. Okay, well, I'll take you over there. Why not? You open the door. Voila. There you go. That's my Jeff's Train World. That's the best right now. I've been working on a couple of problems, but you know. So what the big deal is now? Tomorrow I'll probably be working underneath. There's lights in three places up there. This fire station, that tall piece over by my Lionel over there. That's the fire lookout tower, and the castle. The problem is, when I wired this underneath, I had it hooked up to my switchboard, and there was a haywire somewhere, and then it stopped working. But there's a couple of things I was doing here, and one of them was I had issues with my couplers. Okay, so these couplers right here, okay, these are the old couplers. See that? All right, the new ones are, are kind of like, well, the new trucks, they call them. They're a different thing in here. Okay, so, again. It's kind of like your spaceship thing, Al. I'm having issues. There's the new ones. See, it's a different coupler. Okay, so the problem I have is it's not the track. I figured out it's not the track and it's not the switches. It's the car's couplers. They don't match. All right, so I have to change all these around. I've got about 100 cars I got to change. Problem is, you get a package of 10, so that's I could do 5 cars with one package. But the 10 trucks with the couplers on them cost me $60. Now, if I want to change the wheels on them, these wheels, and put these wheels on, this type of wheels, I could get 100 of them for $109 for, and that's okay. They're like this. That's what's in here. And I might do that still. I don't know. My problem is the trucks, I want to say the couplers, when they're coupled together like this, they ride weird. And some of them are like, they want to go undone. One's higher than the other. It'll do it sometimes on a turn. It'll do it sometimes on a switch. I don't know. There's this one here has a having. It'll go all the way around until it gets over to this spot over here, and then it comes off the track. Or it doesn't come off the track. What happens is it decouples. Now, these here, I put weights in them. All right. The idea is if I could take this apart, and I should be able to get the bottom off. I could put fishing weights. Now, I did that. See, that's the other thing. I'm experimenting. If there's weight on the cars, when the engine pulls it forward, the couplers will connect and it'll go back on each other. But because of these weird couplers, because of the way they are, they're too open on the end. And so that's the problem there. The other ones here, instead of being on the side, they're much smaller, and they've got a connector in here. If you really want to be cool, you could get a coupler decoupler, which is magnetized. But that you have to put spots in the track and do all this stuff, and I'm not going to go that far. It is woodworking because this whole base, this thing's probably 20 years old, if not more. I built the base. I built the base for that. I built some houses. I built that lookout tower. I actually built that out of scrap wood from one of my projects. I just had to whittle it down so I'm going to make a mine shaft up there on the hill. I'll work on that tomorrow too. I had to finish greening it out and making it look like it's a little bit more, it's snow capped on the top there, but I have to do a little bit more on it to get it to look a little bit. But then I'm going to plant trees in there. I'm going to put, I got a lot of stuff to do on this. This side here is a different story. I still haven't figured out how I'm going to do layout. All right. There's all this stuff I have to put together. It's kind of like your stuff, Al. Kilroy. It's, I've got a lot of these together already, but this one here is an arcade, or an amusement park. Then I've got a trestle, which I'm going to do over there eventually, and a farm, and then I've got an actual working coal car set up back in the corner, and then I've got my roundhouse. Now, so yeah, I got a lot of wiring and a lot of work to do. But that's the fun of it. I'm just focusing from left to right on it, And the trains work. The trains work. So I hope you guys like it. I hope you enjoy it when I post it. That's why I wanted everybody to go over to. That's why I wanted to have everybody go over to Jeff's Train World, because then I thought maybe I keep this woodworking this way. I mean, I don't know, unless you guys like it that way. So, see, it's addicting. It's like my lathe. I could spend all day just running trains. Now I got weight in that back car. Now here's the other thing. There's a certain speed You have to iron out with your trains, because if you go too fast, they'll derail each other. So right about like that. Now these cars are meant for this top part because this is supposed to be like in the upper part there, and I've got some really small trains that go up on that. So I hope you guys are okay with that. I love showing people this. If you're in the Illinois area, you're around mine, you're close to me, come on over. We can do both woodworking and see how decoupled. That's the switches in that thing doing the coupler doing that. It only does it when it gets close to that switch. Ah, that's because they're riding like this. Oh, that's the other thing, right here. If you ever want to put a car on, that's the easiest way to do it, right there. Because you could get the wheels on straight. I have a hell of a time trying to get stuff on this. It's really bad. I mean, see, I get like this. See, now my cars will run just like that. You put weight in that. If you put weight in most of the cars, you don't do them all, but enough to keep. What I usually do, this methodology with me. If you have most of the weight in the back, it'll hold the cars tighter than basically when the engine takes off, so the chances are they aren't going to flip off. It's an experiment. Frost, what is that? Frost bot? That's cool. Welcome to my crazy spot. This is the other end of my stuff. So leave me a question or comment. One of these days I'm going to go with StreamYard. If you want to come on, Kilroy, for a short time or something, I might set that up this week or something before I go into the knife. Because I won't be down here for a while. Although I will be making more houses. I can't get enough of these. What I need to do, and I'm trying to stay with the country look. I've got a friend of mine that's got German. He sells German model stuff, and Raymond. He's great stuff. Half my stuff came from him. So, well, that's the other thing I had to show you real quick. There's the rest of my cars right there. You guys see that? Okay, that top one is an HO. Now here's my plan. That's another thing. I'm going to put a ledge all the way around that top part. So from here all the way around, that's where that's going to go. That HO is going to go. I got a bunch of cars for that. But this is my pride and door. This came from Germany. My mother-in-law bought this years ago. And you can't find it anymore. It's a collector's item. That's what they call the alligator. It's a Swiss. It's Swiss watch. It's a Swiss made in-gauge railroad. And that whole thing, I've got some other cars that go to it. That's all one piece. I don't know how much it costs, but that's worth $1 right there. And then I got the bullet train. That's Cato. That's a Cato thing. It flies. But it's the problem with that. I had to model this track after that. It's the biggest one I got. Outside of the car one I have down here. But yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna let you guys go right now. I had your attention too much already. And thank you again. If you want to watch me on the other channel, Jeff's Train World, HOO in and O gauge. Check it out. Right, I need 50 people on there so that I can do the live like I'm doing at this. That's the reason why I have half and half on here now. I'm trying to get everybody over there too. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you. If you haven't subscribed, do that. I love it. And I'm at 500. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be there. People like Kilroy there and Frostbite. I think it's Frostbot. And oh God, everybody. So thank you. Be creative. Do something. Don't talk politics. That'll drive you nuts. God bless. I'll talk to you on the backside, Kilroy.